Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into the source material today, and it's focused on a flashpoint that really demands our attention.
It certainly does.
You've given us some extensive reporting on this military escalation between Pakistan and Afghanistan. It feels like this border crisis is entering a very new and, frankly, a very dangerous phase.
Right, and our mission here is to try and give you a clear, sort of synthesized map of all this chaos. We want to go beyond the headlines, beyond just military strikes, and really understand the deep political rifts.
And the militant groups that are at the center of it all.
Exactly, these shared militant groups that are making this border one of the most volatile regions in the world right now.
Yeah.
We need to unpack the accusations on both sides.
Because the cost of this escalation is already, it's devastating. I think our entry point has to be the claim that came directly from Kabul. Reportedly, Pakistan conducted airstrikes deep inside Afghan territory.
And the Taliban government spokesperson responded almost immediately. The casualty count they released was shocking.
10 civilians killed.
10 civilians, yes. And the specifics are what make this so politically potent. The spokesperson, Zabihullah Mujahid, he specified that among those killed in Khost province were 9 children.
9 children.
5 boys and 4 girls, along with 1 woman. When a government names children in a casualty claim like that, it's a very powerful move. It's designed to assign immediate moral blame to the attacker.
It absolutely elevates this. This isn't just a standard border skirmish anymore. This is a profound security crisis rooted in this, complex shared geography of militancy.
And now it's resulting in this lethal unilateral military action with a high civilian price tag.
So let's unpack the Afghan side's immediate response. I mean, they didn't use cautious diplomatic language, did they? They were aggressive.
That's right, very aggressive. Mujahid stated that these 10 individuals were martyred in the Khost province strike. He didn't mince words. He attributed it directly to Pakistani invading forces.
Invading forces.
Yes. And he also detailed that 4 other civilians were wounded in strikes that targeted Kunar and Paktika. So this very detailed reporting, the locations, the casualty numbers, it's all intended to solidify a narrative.
A narrative violated sovereignty.
Exactly. Violated sovereignty and the targeting of civilians.
Okay, so that's the Afghan claim. What's equally significant, though, is the reaction, or maybe the lack of reaction, from Islamabad. What did the Pakistani government or military actually say about these raids?
And that's the crucial part. Your sources confirm that Pakistan's government officials and the military have been, well, conspicuously silent.
Nothing, no comment at all.
No public comment on the raids, no official confirmation, no denial, and certainly no comment on the casualty count that the Taliban provided. This strategic silence, it creates a political vacuum.
Which allows the Afghan narrative to just dominate the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because the story becomes about civilian harm and a violation of their territory.
It immediately dominates. But that silence doesn't mean there was an intent. These strikes, while they're officially unacknowledged, they clearly followed a specific trigger inside Pakistan. This was not a random action.
It was retaliation.
Absolutely, immediate retaliation. To understand the gravity of this, you have to look at the severe attack that happened right before it. The strikes were a direct, kinetic answer to a major suicide attack in Peshawar.
And that attack was on the headquarters of Pakistan's paramilitary Federal Constabulary Force.
That's the one.
Let's get into the details of that because it really set the stage for everything that followed. It was a bloody attack. 3 officers killed, 11 others wounded.
A significant attack, yes. And while no major militant group immediately claimed credit, the state broadcaster, PTV, was very quick to report that the attackers were Afghan nationals.
So that provides an instant justification, at least domestically, for a cross-border response. It links the threat directly to the neighboring state.
It does. And then we get the official attribution from President Asif Zardari.
So who did he blame for this wave of violence?
He officially blamed the attacks on a group he referred to as foreign-backed Fitna al-Khawarij.
Okay, that phrase, Fitna al-Khawarij. That's not standard geopolitical jargon. For anyone listening, why is Pakistan choosing that specific term? What does it mean?
This is critical context. Khawarij is a deep historical term in Islam. It refers to a very early sect that broke away and was deemed extremist, politically rebellious.
So by using this term, Islamabad is doing more than just identifying an enemy.
Much more. They are theologically and politically delegitimizing them. They're painting the TTP not just as criminals, but as dangerous religious deviants. And by doing that, they justify the most extreme military responses.
Both at home and, as we've seen, across the border.
Precisely.
That shift from a political struggle to a theological danger, that feels like a major rhetorical escalation. It really underscores how seriously Pakistan views this TTP threat.
It does. And this Peshawar attack, it wasn't an isolated incident. It's part of a very dangerous pattern. We also saw that suicide blast earlier this month in the capital, in Islamabad. 12 people were killed in that one.
And who claimed responsibility for that attack in the capital?
A faction of the Pakistan Taliban, the TTP. But what's key is Pakistan's specific accusation about its guidance.
What did they claim?
Islamabad publicly blamed a militant cell, which, they said, was guided at every step by the high command based in Afghanistan.
Guided at every step. That's a very specific and explosive claim. It goes beyond just sheltering militants.
It implies active command and control, that orders are coming from across the border. And the sources suggest this claim serves mainly as justification both domestically and regionally for this kind of kinetic action.
And this all ties back to the foundational tension here, right? The TTP, which is Pakistan's #1 security threat, shares the same core ideology as the Afghan Taliban, which is now ruling Kabul.
That ideological overlap is the absolute heart of the conflict. While historically the Afghan Taliban focused inward and the TTP focused on Pakistan, the Taliban's victory in 2021, it really emboldened the TTP.
It gave them a safe haven.
A safe haven, operational depth, you name it. From Islamabad's perspective, Kabul is either unwilling or just unable to curb a group that is, for all intents and purposes, their ideological kin.
So let's broaden the scope a bit. Place this current violence into context. How have relations been since the Afghan Taliban returned to power in 2021?
Volatile is probably an understatement. I mean, the assumption in Islamabad was that the new Taliban government would act to curb the TTP,
Right.
But the opposite happened.
We've seen other escalations.
Many. Just back in October, for instance, the border clashes were so intense that around 70 people were killed. On both sides, this isn't just smuggling. This is high-intensity, localized warfare.
So this brings us to the central sticking point, this seemingly intractable problem that prevents any kind of lasting peace. It's a vicious cycle.
It is a cycle of accusation and counter-accusation.
From Islamabad, the accusation is clear and unwavering.
They accuse the Afghan Taliban of sheltering the TTP, of providing them with safe zones and leadership infrastructure to wage their campaign against Pakistan. That's the cornerstone of Pakistan's grievance.
But Kabul doesn't just deny that, do they? They hit back.
They absolutely do. They deny the charge completely, and then they counter-accuse Pakistan of harboring groups hostile to Afghanistan. And they constantly stress that Pakistan is failing to respect their sovereignty.
A charge that, after these airstrikes killing civilians, now carries a lot more weight.
Maximum weight. It gives them, in their eyes, total justification for retaliation.
So you have two neighboring states, one of them nuclear-armed, each arguing the other is a sanctuary for its main security threat. Have they tried to solve this diplomatically, or is it always just military escalation?
They have tried, but the diplomatic efforts have, well, they've collapsed entirely.
What happened?
After those deadly clashes in October, there was enough regional pressure to at least attempt de-escalation. A ceasefire was actually brokered.
Who brokered it?
Major regional players, Qatar and Turkey.
Okay, so their involvement signals that this is seen as a serious regional threat. But the ceasefire didn't hold.
It did not. The subsequent peace talks, which were held in Istanbul, they failed to produce any kind of lasting deal. And the specific breakdown point is crucial.
What was it?
It was Pakistan's core demand that Kabul must demonstrably curb TTP fighters operating from Afghan soil.
And since Kabul denies they're even there in an official capacity.
There was zero common ground. Kabul maintains the TTP is a Pakistani problem. So the talks just fell apart. There was nowhere to go.
That's the tragedy here, isn't it? The very mechanisms designed to manage regional security mediation by established players like Turkey and Qatar, they failed. They failed because the two sides can't even agree on the basic reality of the situation.
And if you connect that failure back to the recent airstrikes, it sends a clear message. When diplomacy breaks down, the default setting is retaliation. Pakistan is essentially communicating that if Kabul won't control the TTP, they will.
So when you're trapped in this cycle and the internationally brokered talks have already failed, how do you even begin to break out of it? especially without resorting to the kind of military action that killed 10 civilians, including 9 kids.
I mean, that's the question. What really stands out here is that this whole crisis is driven by this deep-seated incompatibility between what Islamabad demands and what Kabul is willing or able to deliver.
And military escalation has just become the norm.
The accepted tragic norm. And the only clear outcome is more civilian casualties.
Okay, so let's synthesize the key information for you from our sources. We have these clear, unrefuted claims from the Taliban of 10 civilian deaths, 9 of them children, blamed on Pakistani airstrikes.
A claim triggered by a TTP-linked escalation inside Pakistan, which Islamabad describes with that highly charged phrase, fitna al-Khawarij.
And crucially, the high-level diplomatic efforts, the talks in Istanbul brokered by Qatar and Turkey, have completely failed.
They've failed over that core dispute. Who is responsible for the TTP? The entire trajectory right now points toward more escalation, not resolution. The political will for dialogue seems to have collapsed.
That failure leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to track. Given that diplomacy brokered by major regional players like Qatar and Turkey has already failed, and the conflict is now escalating militarily with these deadly unacknowledged strikes, what's next?
Who could possibly mediate this?
Right. What might be the next regional power or outside mediator? Could it be a Western entity? Could it be China, given its interests in Pakistan? Who could actually broker a lasting security deal between these two states?
Or is the problem even solvable through mediation anymore? Perhaps the solution requires a fundamental internal shift in Kabul's policy towards the TTP.
Something to consider as you watch this very tense situation unfold.
Indeed. Understanding why past diplomacy failed is really the first step to forecasting what comes next.
Stay informed and stay critical. We'll see you next time for the deep dive.